I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. The Pentagon faced questions again on Friday about U.S. intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Following reports that U.S. intel has helped Ukrainian forces kill Russian generals, spokesperson John Kirby maintained that the extent of U.S. support was well within the bounds of the law. Now, unnamed officials have said U.S. targeting helped sink Russia's flagship cruiser, the Moskva. The Pentagon has stated that Ukraine is capable of acting on its own and also has other sources of intelligence in an attempt to distance itself from divulging specifics of what was shared with Ukrainian forces. Listen in as John Kirby is asked about these reports.
Returning to the Moskva, are there any restrictions that you can talk about that the U.S. would impose or include on Ukraine in its use of American intelligence so as not to risk further escalation of the conflict? And then there's a report out there about a second patrol ship, Russian patrol ship that's been struck, and if there's anything at all you can say about that.
Yeah, we've seen the reports about this second. I think they're saying the reporting out there, at least in social media, was a Russian frigate. We've been looking at this all day, and we have no information to corroborate those reports. On the intelligence, I think you can understand I'm going to be careful here in what we talk about in terms of the parameters of intelligence that we provide them. But we provide them what we believe to be relevant and timely information about Russian units that will allow them to adjust and execute their self-defense to the best of their ability. The kind of intelligence that we provide them, it's legitimate, it's lawful, and it's limited, and I would rather not get into what the degree to which there's limitations on there. But we try to be as timely and as relevant as we can. And I would also add, and this is not an unimportant point, we are not the only sole source of intelligence and information to the Ukrainians. They get intelligence from other nations as well, and they have a pretty robust intelligence collection capability of their own. I mean, they've been fighting this war against Russia for 8 years. It's not like they are completely blind to the way Russia organizes itself and the way Russia conducts itself on the battlefield. So, as you would expect any nation to do, they form a mosaic here. They collate the information that they're getting, and then they make their own decisions about what they're going to do with that. And if they do decide to do something with that intelligence, then they make the decisions about acting on it. Yeah, Idris.
Just on, I think when you were talking to the networks earlier today, you said the U.S. did not know beforehand that the attack on the Moscow was going to take place. I'm just curious, generally speaking, when the U.S. shares intelligence with the Ukrainians, does the U.S. ask what it's going to be used for, or is it just sort of handed over and said, do what?
Yeah, again, I want to be careful not to get into the specifics of the intel sharing. I think we can all understand why it's not good to have an open discussion about intelligence sharing. I would just go back to what I've said before. We try to provide them useful and relevant, timely intelligence so that they can better defend themselves. But ultimately, they make the decision about what they're going to do with that information, if anything.
So they don't give you a heads up saying, hey, we might...
We don't routinely get... no, we don't get... we don't get heads up about their day-to-day operations, nor do we expect to. I mean, they're in an active fight.
But I guess if you're getting specific intelligence, why not ask, hey, what are you going to do with this?
We are, I'm not going to talk about the intelligence sharing process any more detailed than that. So we provide them useful, relevant intelligence so that they can better defend themselves. But they are under no obligation to tell us how they're going to use that information or when and where, if at all.